So in this video, we are going to make the caps for our fidget spinner. So please make sure if you're coming onto this video that your spinner looks like mine. So you're ready to go to make that cap. So these caps, you go on top of the bearings through that little hole right there for your fingers to hold on to, right? That's how it spins around in a circle. You hold on to the top of the cap and it spins because the inside rotates on that bearing right there. So right now we're just going to make one, kind of like how we made our one bearing, because once we get, to the other part, to the assembly, we'll just add in another one for the other side of this spinner. So what we're going to do is we got to start with our sketch, right? So same thing as usual. We're going to go to the top view. Now you're not going to click add sketch to top view yet. What I want you to do is click on the top of the bearing that we made. So like that donut should light up. And that's what we're going to make our sketch on. You know if you clicked it correctly, if over here, after you click on that donut, right, and it lights up and you click sketch, it should say face of bearing, right? So that's why we named everything, so we could make sure everything is how it's supposed to be. So that is where we're making our sketch on top of the bearing, because, the cap goes on top. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom into our bearing here so we can see it a little bit better. And we're going to do the same thing like we did with the bearing. We're going to make two circles. We're going to make one circle snap in the center on the outside, another one on the inside, and we're going to change the dimensions of the outer circle to 0.8. So it looks like that. Then for the inner circle, we're going to make that one equal to the black circle of the bearing, right? So that inner bearing circle, we're going to make that equal to our blue circle, and it should look like that. All right, so it should disappear because we want it to fit in snugly. So we need to make sure that it vanishes and it looks like this. So there we go, we have our drawing for our cap, and we're just going to rename this to cap so we know, and we can click that check mark and we're good to go. Then we're going to click the extrude button. So we want to make this 3D. Now, for this extrusion, you want to select the entire cap. Now, I know before we just clicked the donut, right? And we didn't click inside, but now we want this whole entire thing to be solid. So you're also going to click in the middle of that cap there. And you can see now that it's a solid piece extruding out. So again, we don't want it to look like this. We want to also click in the center of the hole to cover and have a full piece of material that's solid. So now it defaults to add again, right? But like the bearing, we want this as a separate piece. We want this as a new part. So we're going to click new, and it'll change it to like a dark blue color. So if you don't change it to new, it'll stay gray. We want it to be added on top of that bearing, so that is why we're making it a new part. So now this is sticking out fairly out of this fidget spinner, so we want to definitely bring that height down, and we're going to bring it down to 0.12. Alright, so that is definitely significantly better, a comfortable height for your finger there. So now we're going to rename this to cap 1 because we have to do 2 extrusions. So the first one right now that we just did was the cap itself, like the top part, and now the next one we're going to do is the peg. So we're going to name this one cap 1, and now we have to, like I just said, make the peg into a different extrusion, because if we did the peg right now, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't add it in the correct spot, so now we have to do another extrusion for the peg that goes onto the inside of the bearing. So we're going to click extrude again. And now, of course, right, we're just going to click this right here. Oh, right, that doesn't really work because we want this dark blue dot and I can't really click on it. It just keeps doing that. So what we have to do to get that blue dot to come out and extrude inwards towards our bearing is we want to, right now you'll see on the left side, it says cap, and it's kind of in a light gray color, because right now it's hidden. So we want to click on that eye so we can see it. And now you can click on that blue part and it'll come out, but it's coming out the wrong way. So we definitely have to fix that. So to fix that, we have to just change the arrows that it's going in. So right now, it's going outside on the top. I want it to go to the bottom, so we're going to click that arrow and it'll go the other way. Now, oh my god, right now it's red, right? Which is kind of scary, but don't worry. We're going to change the depth and it'll fix itself. So we're going to change this depth to 0.175, click enter, and now it's not red anymore. And it's going halfway through, which you can't really see right now. I'll show you in a couple minutes, but it's going to go halfway through that bearing, so we can put another one on the other side later. So now the only thing that we want to do is, you'll see here it says new, right? Because that's how we had it for our top of our cap, which we don't want. We want to make it add, right? Because we're adding this as another piece to our cap. Our cap's a whole piece. The peg is not separate. We want the peg to be attached to the top of the cap. So you want to make sure, this is very important, to change it to add before you click anything. And right now, it's red again, right? You'll see that our dot is red, up here is red, kind of concerning. But all that it wants to know is, what are you adding it to? What are you adding this peg to? And we're adding it to part 3, which is our cap. And then now you can see it also turns blue. It went to part 3. And you can just click the check mark, which I forgot. We also want to name this, so you just double click, rename, and I'm going to call this cap 2 to distinguish. All right, and it kind of looks like that. Now we want to go back and hide that cap sketch again, since we unhid it to do that extrusion. So we're just going to hide that. And now I'm going to show you, which, let me hide the spinner body and the bearing here. So now you could see that part 3, which we'll rename in a second, the peg is going through that bearing halfway. Right, so we did exactly what we were supposed to do. So now I'm gonna show all the rest here. And now if we look at the top of the spinner, it's kind of, like I said, even with the body of the spinner, it's rough, right? It's rigid. We want to make sure that when our skin's touching this, it's safe for us to touch and it's comfortable. So we're going to chamfer this edge to give it a nice smooth ledge of an edge. So what we're going to do is click on our chamfer button, which is next to the fillet. And we're gonna just click on that edge. Right now, as soon as I clicked on it, it went a little too much. So we're gonna just back this up a bit and make it 0.1, click enter, and now it looks pretty good. Right, it definitely looks more like a fidget spinner. So there is the final product here. So now what we're going to do down here is, we have everything named except part 3. So we got to rename that. So we're going to rename this to cap. And like I said before, we will put another cap on the other side of this just when we get into the assembly. But before we get to the assembly, the last thing that we have to do is change these colors, right? Like, of course you could change the color that they have. I do like the colors, blue's my favorite color, but some of you might want to get creative and change the different colors of your spinner body or the metal bearing or the cap. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to go to your part section over here, and the first thing I'm going to change the color of is, we'll do the body. So you're going to right click, and you'll see it's going to say edit appearance. And when you click on that, you'll get a whole palette of colors that you could choose from. You could even go to the mixer and do like fancy specific colors, which is kind of cool. But I'm just gonna pick a regular one, and I'll pick my like favorite color here, right? This is a nice mint color. And then same thing for the bearing, but first, well, I don't, so like if you want everything the same color, what you could do is just like I just did, click bearing and click cap, and everything will turn the exact same color. But I'm gonna be different, and I'm gonna do the bearing and cap two totally other different colors. So once you have your body good, you want to click that check mark, and then right click on bearing, edit appearance, and I'm gonna stay, we'll do like a grayish color for the bearing, and then for the cap, let's see, maybe I'll do a darker one in the family like that. There we go. And now I have edited my appearance of my fidget spinner, which is kind of awesome. So you definitely want to make sure that you do all of this and change your appearance before we go into assembly. So it's all done, it's all ready to go, and so we can get this thing moving and animated. So make sure you get to this part before you go on to the next video, where I am going to show you how to assemble this together and animate it.